Hello everyone, this is Zook, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a stylus. In case you didn't know, a stylus is not something you pull out in an airport to appear like a snob in front of strangers, but it is a tool used by ancient civilizations for writing on various clay pads or wax pads. So, in essence, it's the ancestor of the modern pen. Now, this is a stylus that I found in my old dad's supply drawer. It's probably over 50 years old, but what it is basically a nail on a stick. That's about it. And people use these tools in drawing for hair, fur, and really tiny details. And I had completely forgotten that I had one. I had completely forgotten they existed until today when I remembered and I went looking for it. So I'm gonna be showing you what you can do with it and how to craft one out of stuff you might have around your house. So what you need is this: an empty pen case or body, just from a regular big pen or whatever, just a cheap pen case. This is a needle. This is the thickest needle I could find, and I cut off its tip and filed it down to a rounder point on one of these. This is a very fine file for metal, but you can also use sandpaper or yeah, that's about it. Sandpaper or a file. That's pretty much all you need. And this is a really, I don't know if you can see this, it's like a really bent out of shape nail that I had, or needle. And I made a couple of holes on the body of the pen, and once I put this needle in, I'm going to use the smaller one to make it go through the two holes and through the loophole in the thicker nail. And then I'm going to bend it around the body and just fix it in place so it doesn't move when you press down on it. So I'm very clever. Something else you need, just a piece of an eraser or rubber. I also have some plumber's tape. It's very thin plastic, stretchy tape, so I'm gonna try to use that if it's needed. Some scotch tape, a pair of pliers, and a knife. So the way to do this is you stick the needle through the piece of rubber. Hopefully I can do this by hand because it doesn't have a tip anymore, so it's kind of hard. Let's see. Get in there. By the way, the thing I'm using, like this surface, it's called a cutting mat. I bought it off Amazon for 11 bucks, and it's very good if you're into like paper crafting and collages and stuff like that, because it's self-healing. So when you make a cut in it, it closes up within a day, so it won't leave any permanent marks if you do any cutting on it, and it's really good for that. Worst thing about it is if you put it on a curved surface, it's gonna take that shape and sort of keep it until you press it down with something flat to make it regain its shape. Alright, so let's see if this fits in here. Not yet. Yeah, still gotta do a bit of cutting. The reason I use rubber or eraser is because it's not necessarily a bad thing if it has a bit of give. Like, it's okay to be fixed, but even if it moves around, it's no big deal because you're not supposed to be pressing very hard on it anyway. So it's not like you need that extreme hardness. I crack way too many sexual innuendos. It kind of worries me where my mind drifts off to. Alright, so it seems to fit now, sort of. I'm gonna try and push it in here. Yeah, that's right. Alright, so it shaved off a bit of it, but it's really no problem. Alright, now I just gotta line the loop with the two holes I made and cut off the excess eraser here. Now if I pull this out now, it's gonna be pretty messed up, so what I'm gonna do is grab a bit of plumber's tape and just wrap around it to make it a bit more fixed. I'm just gonna shave this stuff off, the excess here on the tip. You can also put it in between like two very fine pieces of wood if you happen to have that. So anything really, anything that'll keep it in place, the needle that is. Right. Just wrap this around as good as I can. And make it tight here so it doesn't break apart. Alright, that should be fine. Let's cut off the excess and put it back in. Okay. So it seems to be fine now. I'm gonna grab this bent up needle and try and position it properly. Right, so through the thing, through the loop. Come on, get in there. These pliers are a bit bulky for this particular task. I think this needle is a bit too soft though, it keeps bending around. I don't know what to do. And now it broke. That's just great. This is... wow, it's actually keeping it in there. That's kind of funny. But in any case, you get the idea. Just stick it through the pen, bend it around the pen, put some tape over it, and that's it. It's not gonna move. Unless you press down like a maniac, in which case nothing is really gonna hold. Just wrapping some more tape around the tip of the pen and the eraser that's sticking out from the end, just to make it a bit more fixed in place. Right. Seems to be fine. Yeah, it works well. Another thing you can obviously do is tape some scotch tape over it so the plumber's tape doesn't come off, because it's not adhesive, it's just sort of stays there. So scotch tape is good for that. Now this looks like a really crappy ass job, but I'm limited by 15 minutes of video, so I can't really be very nitpicky about it. Alright, so this is a basic stylus. Now let's see what it can do. Just gonna get all this stuff out of here first. Gonna grab a piece of paper from my sketch pad. So, what you do with a stylus, obviously first you gotta have the general shape of whatever you want to draw in mind, but to draw a very nice fur or a mustache or hair on the head, or even like highlights on pieces of metal or armor or whatever, is you make some lines with the stylus. This takes a while getting used to because you don't really know what you're drawing, but just don't press down too hard and try to vary the thickness, just like normal hairs look like. They're thicker at the base and thinner at the end. Now what you do is grab a pencil and just shade over it in the direction that you want the hair to be. And what you'll see is that the hair has highlights. So it is indeed very good if you want to get like really realistic fur or hair for that matter. I'm not sure if you can see it here, but I assure you it is there. Maybe this paper isn't the best to use with this because the paper is very textured in itself, so it doesn't really have the proper surface for something like this. In any case, I'm gonna try and bring it close to the camera so you can see. I'm not sure if it's gonna focus. I'm just gonna get a different piece of paper, like normal drawing paper, and test it on that. So again, the lines have to go in the direction in which you're drawing. And then grab the pencil and gently shade over it. It's way more visible here, just because the paper isn't as textured. Right, so that would be, and this works in negative as well. Like the hairs can be white and everything around it, you know, you can just shade around it and it's gonna be visible. So then the next step is to go darker in between some of the hairs, just to give it the impression of volume, so it will look like real fur, real hair, because obviously every hair will have a core shadow and a highlight, and the hairs in the back won't be very lit. So just shade as well as you can in between some of those lines. And I'm gonna try and see if you can see this. Right. It looks pretty good, and this is not a texture that you can achieve through like by hand, because it just doesn't work. Now let's say you have a piece of metal, right, and it's embossed. Embossed is it's in 3D. So you want to make the highlights on the edges because the light is shining through the top left. So what you do is run the stylus down the edge right next to the contour on the inside. And then when you shade over it, it's going to be a white line here, very noticeable, something which you can't really achieve by hand when you're doing pencil work, just because it's way too thin and the pencil always manages to get in there somehow. So hopefully you can see this. And then all you do is shade on the outer edge of the white line. And it looks 3D now. So yeah, this is not the best you can do with it. Like, if you really want to make a proper one which you can use, if you don't want to, you know, spend the money on one. But I definitely recommend buying one because it's just too much hassle, and the ones you buy from the stores will always be better than the ones you make. So I'm just gonna try to use the one I have now. I'm not sure if this is even from the store or if it's something that my dad made, but in any case, it's better than what I used to make and what I made right now anyway. So you can see the white lines, I hope, on camera. They're definitely there, very pronounced. And just shade in between, not all over obviously, but in some places, and you get a very 3D feel for the fur. And if you want to go even further, start shading from the bottom up, like press down on the bottom and just lighten up as you go up, and then the pencil will get in the white lines and they'll be in a gradient, so that's even more realism. Obviously you need to have dark strands as well in between, so just draw those however you can. So yeah, this looks very nice now. It really looks like the fur of an animal. And you can use it, you can even use like an empty pen tip, you know, for something like that. If you have a pen that's run out of ink, this works perfectly fine. That's probably a better alternative than the actual stylus, but this one is thinner, so this is for finer details, and the pen is for like major hairs on a person's head, or if you're drawing something more large. But yeah, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.